Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, August 7th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next several days, we will continue to build the ridge of high pressure over the Great Basin with very hot temperatures, near record setting in some areas. Areas in the orange color are showing hot temperatures, dry and unstable conditions, and you can see it expands as we go through this week. As we go towards Wednesday, Thursday, we may see thunderstorms start to return to far southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip, as well as winds increasing Friday over parts of Idaho into northern Nevada. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen no precipitation and no lightning across the Great Basin under this ridge of high pressure. Yesterday, the Great Basin saw light initial attack with 15 new starts for over 1,600 acres. Over the last 7 days, we've had generally dry conditions over the northern half of the area, and we did see some thunderstorm activity bringing some wetter conditions from this past weekend and last week. However, very dry conditions have lingered for the last couple of days. Over the last 2 weeks, the percent of normal precipitation is on the right, showing generally near normal precipitation or above normal in some areas where those heavier thunderstorms were, but for a large part, generally below normal precipitation with very dry conditions continuing over northern and western areas. How this has affected our ERC conditions. ERCs are above the 80th or 90th percentile, with some spots above the 97th percentile still, over the northern half of the Great Basin, and even over central and eastern Utah, as those areas have continued to dry out. Looking at how this relates to normal, looking up at the central Idaho mountains, which is also fairly representative of much of Idaho into parts of northern Nevada, showing those ERCs that are quite high and are near or at records for the time of year. Even over central and eastern Utah, really much of Utah, ERCs have rebounded and are near or at records for this time of year as well. The satellite loop from this morning shows the strong ridge of high pressure centered over the southwest, which will continue to build north over the next couple of days, bringing very hot, near record-breaking temperatures in some areas, dry and unstable conditions with mostly sunny skies, low relative humidity, and poor recoveries. This moisture you see over Mexico down to our south will eventually work its way north as we move later this week and into the weekend. Again, looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see the ridge of high pressure dominating the west with very hot and dry conditions. We do have some areas of high risk over mainly western Nevada, which is where those temperatures will really start to heat up initially and be near record temperatures or above 100 degrees in the valleys with very unstable conditions. Otherwise, you'll notice the rest of the Great Basin continues to dry out. Overall today, single-digit relative humidity to low teens region-wide, even in the higher elevations and up into Idaho. Temperatures today will exceed 110 degrees over southern Nevada and exceed 100 degrees over parts of western Nevada, and gradually warm over northern and eastern areas. Looking at the weather pattern for Wednesday, you can again see that ridge just continues to build north with dry conditions and any of that tropical moisture as well to our south. So our high risk for the hot, dry, unstable conditions expands up into Idaho. Relative humidity remains about the same, with temperatures continuing to climb, now above 100 degrees over much of Nevada and even near 100 degrees up into southwest Idaho. By Thursday, that ridge is really in place across the Great Basin, with again very hot temperatures expanding eastward, with the hot, dry, unstable, high risk now going into northern and western Utah, as well as continuing across Idaho and northern Nevada. We may see a little bit of moisture work its way into far southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip, both Wednesday and Thursday, for some isolated thunderstorm activity. Again, looking at those relative humidity, very little change with the exception of the far south. You can see as that moisture moves up, relative humidity may start to come up along parts of the Arizona Strip and far southern Nevada, as well as see temperatures decrease just a couple of degrees, but still very hot across the entire Great Basin. Forecast amounts of precipitation, again, as we get towards that Wednesday and especially Thursday time period, we may see a better potential of thunderstorms down south, as well as in parts of the central Sierra. You'll start to see some changes as we move into Friday, and the ridge of high pressure is pushed off to the east by this area of low pressure moving into the northwest. Therefore, we'll see a slight decrease in temperatures in the north and west, but more significantly, we'll see winds start to pick up a little bit over parts of northwest Nevada into western Idaho. We still have plenty of high risk for the hot, dry, unstable conditions into Friday, especially over northern, central, and eastern areas. And right now it looks like any of the lightning will remain to our west, but we will continue to monitor that, especially as that trough moves into the northwest and how it will affect the northern areas of the Great Basin. Otherwise, very isolated thunderstorm activity in the far south. By Saturday, that trough starts to move further east, so again, those breezy conditions will likely continue and push eastward across the basin. We have not issued any high risk yet, but we will be watching this system for timing and area, as there may be some areas that see high risk for gusty winds and low humidity. Otherwise, moisture gradually increases in the south, so we may see a little bit more thunderstorm activity on Saturday. However, it's really by Sunday where that thunderstorm activity pushes into central and western areas, so we will continue to watch that return of lightning to see if it's on the drier side or more of a wetter variety, but any return of lightning after this very hot, dry period would be significant potentially over the southern half of the Great Basin this weekend. You will start to see some of the areas over southern Utah and the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada start to moisten up, as these areas may see a little bit wetter activity for thunderstorms or higher humidity. As we move into Monday, that thunderstorm activity continues to push north. Not a whole lot of precipitation shown on the 7-day yet, but you can see these spotty areas indicating that moisture return, again, especially as we go into the weekend and early next week. Overall, looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us into the third week of August, we're looking at generally above normal temperatures, maybe a slight decrease in the north if we see some areas of low pressure drop south, and then we should start to see that precipitation increase with lightning activity as that moisture from the south eventually moves north into the Great Basin and likely remains for a period of time. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.